Problem statement. Calculate the price against each order number in the sales table. 2. Calculate the total revenue for each order number. 3. For each subcategory, calculate the total revenue, total quantity, total returned quantity, and return percentage. So the first activity is to find the price against each order number. So we have the order number over here, and for each order number we have to fetch the price. So let us add a new calculated column, and I'll name this column as price. Now the function that I'm going to use here is related. Now you can see here that the only argument that the related function requires is the column name. Now the column from which I want to fetch the price is the products price column from the products table. So I will start typing in product, and here is the products table, and below here are the columns from that table, and what I need is the product price. So I'll select this, then I'll simply close the bracket and hit enter. So here you can see that we have fetched the price for each order number. Now the related function works similar to the VLOOKUP function. However, in this case, we did not have to mention any lookup values which has to be matched to get the output. So what's the working behind related? Let's understand that. One thing to be ensured when using the related function is that the different tables should be related. So in this case, it is the products and the sales table. To make it clearer, let's go to the model view. Here you can see that the sales table and the products table have a relationship between them, and they are connected using the product key. So that is the reason the sales table is able to fetch values from the products table. Now I will go back to the data view. So keeping the product key as reference, the sales table has looked up for the price from the products table. Now to understand it further, let me just, for the time being, delete this relationship. So I'll right click and click on delete. It is asking for confirmation. I'll click delete again. And now let us go back to our data. Now you can see that there is error in this price column. That is because the sales table is not able to connect to the products table from where it can fetch this value, because right now there is no connection between them. So let us go back and restore the connection. So all you have to do is just drag this product key from sales table and drop it on the product key in the products table. So now we have a relationship between these two tables. Now let us have a look at the price column, and here you can see that the values have been populated. So whenever you try to give an argument as a column name for functions like related, but you are unable to find the table in the list, that means those tables are not connected or do not have any relationship established between them. So you will have to first connect those tables using a key, and then go ahead with using these related function. Now that we have calculated the price, next let us calculate the revenue for each order item. So I'll again add a calculated column. And I'll name this revenue. The formula I'll be using is pretty straightforward. It is, so I'll first get the price column from the sales table. Select that, multiplied by order quantity, again from the sales table. Now hit enter. So we have now calculated the revenue as well. Since all that we are seeing here is 1, I'll just filter out and take 3 and do a random check. So you can see order quantity is 3, price is 2.29 and revenue is 6.87. Now let's move on to the third part. So the first one is, for each product category, calculate the total revenue. So for total revenue, we will add a new measure. And I will call this total revenue. So for total revenue, I'll use the function sum, which is a math function, and the only argument is column name, which is revenue from the sales table. So I'll select that and hit enter. So as I said earlier, a measure will not be appended to the table. Instead, it will be invoked when we call that measure. So for that, let us go to the report view. And in here, I'll add a new matrix. And then to this, from the product categories table, I'll add the category name. And then I'll add the measure that we just created. So I'll go to the sales table and here is our measure. I'll add this to the matrix. So you can see that the measure has automatically calculated the total revenue for each category. Now for my ease, what I do is I create all the DAX measures under a single table, so that it becomes very easy for me to find out what all measures have been created and where I can find them. So if you think that it's useful for you, you can follow that as well. By default, measures get listed under the table which is selected at the time when the measure is being created. So there could be times where you already have created a measure but do not find it and then might create the same one again. So I'll create a new table for all my measures. I'll go to Home tab and click on Enter Data. And here I'll name the table as All DAX. Now since the tables are listed in an alphabetical order, this will always be on top of all the tables here. And I'll simply click on Load. So you can see here that our new table is created. So here is the All DAX table. Now what I'll do is group all my measures. So until now we have created two measures which are under the sales table. So if you look over here, this is the icon for a measure. So let's move these two measures to All DAX. So click on the measure and here you can see that it shows home table as sales. Click on the drop down and you will see all the tables listed, and from here I'll select All DAX. And now you can see that the total revenue measure is no more under the sales table, it has moved to the All DAX table. Similarly, I'll move this total order measure as well. So I'll select that and under home table, I'll once again select All DAX. Now next time when I create any new measure, I'll create it under All DAX so that all my measures are listed over here. Okay, so we have calculated the total revenue for each category name. Now to this, let us also add the total order quantity. So now we also have the figure for the total order quantity for each category. Now the next exercise is to calculate the total return quantity for each category. I will create a new measure over here. So just like calculated column, you can also add measures from table tools. So you can go to table tools and click on new measure. And I'll name this total returned quantity. And now calculating the total return quantity is very easy. So it will be the sum of return quantity. So it is in the returns table and the column name is return quantity. So I will select that. Close the bracket and enter. So we now have the total return measure also over here. So just click on this checkbox to add this as well to the matrix. And here is the total return quantity for each category. Now the final exercise is to calculate the return percentage. So once again, I'll add a new measure. So whenever you add a new measure, it will be automatically added to the table which is selected, which is all DAX right now. Now I'll name this measure as return percentage. And so the return percentage is nothing but the total return quantity divided by the total order quantity multiplied by 100. This will give the percentage. So I'll use the divide function over here, which is a math function. Now the first argument here is the numerator, which in this case is the total returned quantity. This is in the all DAX table, so I'll select that, comma. The denominator is the total order quantity, which is also created under the all DAX table. So I'll select that as well. Now the alternate result is optional, so we'll leave that. Close the bracket and hit enter. So another measure has been created over here. So let us add this as well. I'll just check this box and add it to the matrix. So here we can now see the return percentage as well. But since we did not multiply the result of the divide function by 100, here the output is showing as a decimal number. Now to change the format, just select that particular column and then go to formatting under the measure tools and then click on this to display the values in percentage. So here you can see that now we have it in the form of percentage. So in this exercise, we learnt how to use the related function provided the tables already have a relationship established between them. And then we created measures to calculate the total revenue, total order quantity, total return quantity and return percentage.